you for the invite. Thank you for this opportunity. From the first perspective, it seems that these two panels have nothing to do with one another, but on the other hand, military actions against Artsakh before 2020 and after 2020, they were a very vivid, obvious indicator that Azerbaijan is not only doing greenwashing, but also is doing peace washing now in COP29, pretending to show that the so-called liberated areas, the areas that they have conducted ethnic cleansing, they are going to be using to receive green energy and protecting the environment. Therefore, the violation of human rights within the military aggressive actions are directly related within the topics of COP29, which they are bringing forth. In 2020, when the military actions were initiated, I believe all of us could try to understand what is it that each one of us can do. What are the two pennies we can bring, both with the professional skills that we have and the personal skills that we have, in order to add one drop of solutions to the bucket. We were a few partners and friends. We decided that we had legal advocacy companies, NGOs. We said that we believed that we could help the victims achieve justice. If we cannot prevent the violations, at least we can try them, do the aftermath to receive justice. Unfortunately, I must mention that this was not the first time. Back in 2016, we were doing similar activities. We were trying to identify the military crimes, war crimes that occurred, and we were working with the soldiers, trying to help them to receive justice, to have fair trials and access to justice. But in 2020, we did try to do a fact-finding mission, because it was obvious that even though the international media outlets were related, but international advocacy companies were very, very passive. I mean, any of the violations of human rights, they were not there. In 2020, we registered a serious violation of human rights, international violations, and within that fact-finding missions, we spoke with hundreds of displaced persons, with victims. We had the opportunity to visit Artsakh and cooperating with the local authorities. We have visited the communities. We have recorded the violations ourselves, but in reality, the war crimes, the Azerbaijani military personnel, they made it very easy for us in 2020 and even after that. In social media, especially in Telegram, the videos were immense, where they would portray the war crimes both towards civilians as well as towards military prisoners of wars. This was not that they were not even shameful, they were not even afraid of any responsibility, but they were also pride. But the mission they had was to terrorize the local populations, to ensure that the villagers will leave their homelands knowing that what is their destiny if they remain in their villages, to ensure that the military servants will not resist them, understanding that what will happen to them if they become prisoners of war. So 80 civilians who are considered to be dead in 2020, half of them have been killed as a result of the threats and an intention to be killed. And most of them were elderly, people with disabilities, and people with mental issues. All of you probably have seen some of the videos, some of the most violent and brutal cases, but they were much more than what you have seen. And not all of them have publicly been violated. Unfortunately, we had to see when people had been executed, other torture. But all of this, we have heard some part of it, but we have not spoken about women who have become victims. At least 7 women, according to the data that we have as a result of expertise, they have been tortured and executions. And they have been tortured until death. So they had been alive when they were prisoners. They were in the hands of the soldiers. They have been tortured to death. We have not spoken much about this, but there were many famous cases where the Armenian women became the victims of such result. It was only after that that they started speaking that it was not only men that were the victims of the most serious, brutal actions, but children have also been killed. But the reasons that children were killed, they were not selective. Weapons have been used, and that's why they have been killed. So Azerbaijani soldiers have not targeted the military. They have not targeted military units, but they have just conducted mass destruction for everyone, anywhere, at any time. We also speak about the prisoners of war which have returned back, and they have told us about the tortures that they have been through, which they have been going through throughout the whole years that they were prisoners of war. At least 3 years they were prisoners of war. And we have some of those soldiers who have spoken with us. We need to speak about a number of violations. I spoke about intentional killings, but not less. We also had publicly showcased other cases which they were very proud to show about the defilation, desecrations of the bodies that they were doing. We also had cases where they were killing the soldiers and they were being shot mass with large numbers, and they have specifically been videoed and portrayed publicly. What was the main reason of this? That there was nothing responsibility. There was no punitive measures, and they were not even expecting to be punished. So this was the main reason. However, it's unfortunate that even international communities, the result that they showed was not comprehensive. They did not condemn such violations. There was only one case, it was the Hadrut killings, that was a bit publicly presented on the international level. The other cases were not responded to by the international population, and one of the reasons were that the international society, they considered that land as Azerbaijan's land, means that they should not actively get involved or condemn these issues because it was Azerbaijani land. So as a result, we have 2022, where we had the military prisoners of war on the land of the Republic of Armenia, which were tortured to death and killed, also in 2023, but my colleagues will be speaking about the others.